Good afternoon. Philippine National Police Chief General Romel Marbil refuses to say whether the convoy caught using the Edsa bus lane was his. In a radio interview on Wednesday, February 26, Marbil airs concerns over the disclosure of the convoy's plate number as he refused to confirm if it was his. The Department of Transportation previously stated that the Edsa busway is reserved for public utility buses, emergency vehicles, and clearly marked government vehicles. However, Marbil stresses the need for discretion during an emergency. Marbil also urges traffic enforcers to exercise courtesy and protect the identities of those involved in such incidents. While the PNP does not condone the misuse of bus lanes, Marbil says protocols had been set for emergencies. Marbil reiterates that the proper action in such cases is to issue a ticket and allow the police to explain the emergency situation. Meanwhile, PNP spokesperson Brigadier General Jean Fajardo confirms the convoy was carrying, quote, senior officers holding sensitive positions. She explains the convoy was on the way to the PNP headquarters in Quezon City for a closed-door meeting requiring their urgent presence. Based on the video obtained by INQUIRER.net, a man can be heard insisting there was no prior coordination for the convoy to pass through the Edsa busway.
Dapat mag-coordinate muna kayo, sir. Huwag kayo bisa magdadaan dito. Alam niyo naman may bandit dito, sir.
Emergency lang kami, PNP kami.
Ayo, alam ko naman yan, sir, eh. Hindi naman ako bago sa mundo, eh. PNP, pero yung mandate po dito, sir, mayroon po yung mandate na sinusunod. 5 lang pwedeng dumaan dito.
Kasi may kailangan hatulin ng rally, PNP convoy.
Sir, dapat naka-coordinate yan.
According to Fajardo, members of their convoy no longer argued with the enforcers and made a deal with them. She says the convoy asked to allow them to first take the officers to Camp Crame, then come back to get the ticket for their violation. The Senate majority may proceed with asking President Bongbong Marcos for a special session on Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment, according to the palace. In a radio interview on Wednesday, February 26, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro says senators may direct their request to the president if they want the impeachment trial to already begin. She says this can be done even if the Senate president will not act. Marcos previously said he will only call for a special session if the Senate requests it, but Senate President Chis Escudero said he will not ask for one. For Castro, it shouldn't be just the Senate president who decides whether or not to call for a special session. Asked who could initiate the letter to Marcos, Castro suggests that Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel can do so. This because it was also Pimentel who wrote a letter to Escudero to immediately act on the impeachment complaint filed against Duterte. Castro then says Marcos may accept the letter, citing his previous statement on waiting for a request from the Senate. Duterte was impeached at the House of Representatives level on February 5. The Vice President lodged a petition blocking the impeachment move before the Supreme Court on February 18. The Vatican says Pope Francis remains in critical but stable condition. In an update early Wednesday Manila time, the Vatican says the Pope's blood parameters continue to be stable. They also report that Pope Francis did not experience any new respiratory episodes. According to the Vatican, Pope underwent a follow-up CT scan to check the lung infection. Doctors say the Pope's prognosis remains guarded. The Vatican also shares the Pope resumed his work during the day. In an earlier update, the Vatican said the Pope was well enough to meet with the Vatican Secretary of State to approve new decrees for possible saints. Meanwhile, Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle presides over the Rosary for the health of Pope Francis in St. Peter's Square. Numerous members of the Curia and hundreds of faithful participate in the second consecutive night of prayer for the Pontiff. The Pope was hospitalized on February 14 with breathing difficulties, but his condition worsened as his bronchitis developed into double pneumonia. These are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good afternoon.